Good morning. Good morning, all of my Watercolor Wednesday friends. How are you all? It's so good to be with you again today. Thanks for being on with me. We are going to do a really fun little Easter project today. I haven't done a scene in a while, and I just kind of wanted to put some things together. So I got out my scenic foundations and the little wooden cabin. So this one right here, and I thought, you know, that would be so cute to turn that into an Easter scene with a little bunny. So that's what I did. So I hope you guys will give it a try. The thing about these is that they have a back and they have a foreground. And you can switch out that foreground. You can put just about anything you want in there, and you can change out the seasons. So it's really fun to kind of play around with those. So I'm going to show you how to put that together. But first, I gotta say hi to all of you and get my comments set up here. Okay, here are all my people. They're coming up. Hello, Diana. Hello, Jane and Linda. Hello, Peggy. Hello, Joy. And Valerie, Linda from Wisconsin, Vicki, hello. Lori, hello from Gilbert. Tony is on. Good to see all of you. Debbie Hedges is on. Hello, Debbie. Also, don't forget, so yesterday was Throwback Tuesday. Second Tuesday of the month is a throwback. And it is this little Easter lily set. I did this tutorial yesterday. And it turned out so cute. I mean, it was just really fun and really cute. This is available till tomorrow. And then tomorrow at midnight, it's gone. It will be gone. And you won't be able to get it anymore. And let me just tell you, supplies are limited. So I know we still have some left, but if you want this set, you want to get in there and get it ordered right away so that you don't miss out. It is 5876 watercolor lily set, this one right here. And it comes with the lilies, a big container pot, a little bow and a cross for decoration on that pot, and then a single lily also. So I'll show you this again under the camera when we get going. You also get a free little stamp, this one right here. You get that just for purchasing the throwback, so that will just come in your order automatically. And then the little promotion one for this month is the little coffee cup that says, "Oh frap" on it. I don't know why that just makes me smile. Every time I say it, I just like to say it. It says, "Oh frap" on it, and it is so cute. So that is the promo one that we have brought back from several years ago. It's available just for 3 days. So you can get that on the website also. Okay, one more reminder that I've got to tell you guys about. There is still space in Kim's class. So Kim is doing an in-person class at the AI headquarters, limited space. So if you want to take this class, it's going to be really, really fun. I can't tell you a lot of details. She's going to be sharing more kind of, you know, in the future, the near future, but it is going to be a journal. And the class will last from 9 to 3 on Saturday the 13th. So you can go to the website and you can purchase that class on the website. Lunch will be included and all kinds of free stuff. You're going to get to shop afterwards, and you're going to get an exclusive set of stamps. So you guys, it's a win-win. You're going to have so much fun. I'll be there. I'm going to have to, you know, I got to just pop in. So Kim is going to be teaching that class, but I'm going to show up and maybe in time for lunch, you guys. Lunch will be included, as well as probably lots of coffee and, you know, other treats too. So if you are interested in that class, be sure to go to the website and sign up for that. Okay, Lori says, "I love the throwback. We'll be ordering today." Thank you so much, Lori. Thank you. It is a fun one. It's a really fun one. And, you know, doing those white blooms like that, adding a little bit of green to it, I mean, it's a totally different, kind of different process because you're doing so much with white blooms, but it's a really good exercise. And I think it turned out so cute. You guys got to try it. Okay, so who else is on here? Carrie Lynn in Canada, hello. Leisha, good morning. Mary Ann from Ontario. Ruth Ann is in the house. It's a good day when Ruth Ann is in. Carolyn, hello. Carmen, hello. Ginger, Diane, hello, Diane. Good to see all of you guys on here. We are going to get to our project. It's a really cute little one. I mean, Easter's coming up, so we don't have a lot of time to do more Easter ones, but I just kind of had to get a little scene in here. And I picked out all the brightest colors I could find. My brightest green, my brightest pink, my brightest blue. And I thought, this is going to be the most whimsical scene ever. But, you know, sometimes it's really fun to do that. It doesn't all have to be totally realistic and the outdoor colors. I mean, it can be totally whimsical, which makes it just so much fun. Okay, everyone, let me switch my camera around and then I'll show you that throwback one more time and then we'll get to our project. So let me switch this around so I don't cut anyone off. You'd think after all these lives that I've done, I would just be not so worried about cutting people off when I switch the camera over, but I am. I still am. Okay, here is our project, and this is the actual set right here. So you can see it's got little boats, it's got the little stump and the tree that comes down with the little creek, and then the little mountain cabin. Well, we're just going to change that up. We're going to add this little Easter bunny here, this little bunny and his little basket of eggs. We're going to add this in here and we're going to change the colors out completely. And I had so much fun making this. This was just, you know, really fun. I don't know if it's the bright green that just kind of makes you smile when you're working on something like this, but that bright green and pink, it's such a winning combination. And then adding this bright blue in it, you know, I feel like at Easter is the time that you can get away with stuff like this, where you can just get all your bright, you know, colors out, your blues and pinks and purples and, you know, all of those colors out and just make something really, really whimsical. And, you know, something like this, you know, a scene like this, you know, what makes it Easter is, you know, the little basket of eggs. So you can put a little basket of eggs, you know, in any scene. Just put a little basket of eggs in there. And even if you don't include the bunny, this sort of says Easter right here, the little basket of eggs. So it's kind of fun to try different things. And especially with something that is so different than what we're using it for today. So let me show you how to do this. And we're gonna get started on our project, but let me just show you one more time the throwback, because tomorrow's the last day to get it. Tomorrow at midnight Pacific time. It's 5876 watercolor lily set, and here is what's included. So you get the lilies right here, you get the container, and then the cross or the bow will fit perfectly on this container, and then you get the single lily as well. So the tutorial that we did yesterday had the bow on it, which I think turned out so cute. But look at these beauties. Are they just so fun? I think adding the green to it really kind of changed it up. Making sure to put those shadows under the leaves that are hanging over. That's what brings these forward and sets these back. So it sets this back into the background and it brings these leaves that are hanging over to the foreground. And you just have a three-dimensional image. It just works. And so just paying attention to those little details about how these little leaves come forward will just change everything. It really will. So check this tutorial out if you haven't done that. And if you purchase this set, then be sure to check that tutorial out. It will stay on the Facebook page and you'll be able to access it. Here is the free stamp, the little Easter chick. Is she cute? She is WC0324. And she will come with your set. So when you purchase this, you're going to get this little chick. And then this is the promo, the little promo stamp. So this is coming back from several years ago. We gave it out as a promo. It has never been for sale, but we brought it back for all of you collectors out there. It's back for 3 days, so you can go to the website and you can get this little stamp. Okay. All right, everyone. So let's get to our project. It is a fun one. So let me get my palette in here. Let me show you what I'm going to be using and how I stamped this. So I did pre-stamp it, and I'll show you in detail how I stamped it. But let me first show you what I'm using. From this set, this is from Easter last year at 5737. I'm using this little guy, not the pot, and only half of the little log. So I stamped the majority of this off the page, and then I just moved him over to the side, and I'll show you that specifically what I did. But this little guy right here, in this set, and I've used this little basket of eggs so many times now, but it is so versatile. This little guy right here, that little basket of eggs is just, it's so handy when you're doing some little Easter project. You can just tuck that little basket in and it makes everything look Easter. Okay, in flower set 4, I haven't used these in a while, so I grabbed this one and it turned out so cute. This is flower set 4, and we're going to use this one right here. In the foliage set, the little grass, we're going to be using this one. And then in foliage set 4, one of these little vines. So either one, this one to the left or this one to the right, doesn't matter, whichever one's more comfortable for you to use. And then in here, in the mini foliage set, we're going to use this little guy in the background. And then the long grasses. So it doesn't, you know, this is the one that I use, 5007. But if you have something like this, you can use that. You totally can use that. I happen to just grab this one. And we have the one going to, I believe it's going to the left. I think it is. Let's just double check. Yep, it's going to the left. So I'm using this one right here. Okay, so let's move this all out of the way and we'll get started on the project. Now, I did use my, my stamp platform. I did use my stamp platform so that I could get everything where I wanted it to be. And by the time you're stamping this many things, you want to make sure that you're going to get an even stamp impression when you're doing that. Now, these are all clear, so it was easy to position them. The first one I did was the large stamp. And what I did was I took the rectangle from the rectangle set. I use these all the time. And I took this one, and let me tell you the size of it. It is 2 3/4. So the one that's 2 3/4 by just almost 4 inches. Now the typical size for the scenic foundations is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. So they're a little bit longer. But in this case, I just kind of wanted to bring it up a little closer together. And so I made it a little bit shorter, and I did it with this little rectangle. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I laid my rectangle onto my watercolor paper, and I took a pencil and I penciled the line. So on the inside of the die, and I made a rectangle. Okay, that's my line that's right here. Okay, and then I took my Post-it tape and I covered up the lines. Now you could, when you're finished with this whole thing, you could die cut it. You could just cut it out. But I thought I'm just going to leave a little wider border because I want to make this fit on an A2 card. And that's exactly the size of this. This is an A2 card size. And I wanted to put it on here. So I left it just a little bit wider on the outside. So in that case, you want to mask it off because you don't want anything stamping over the side. If you're going to die cut it, it doesn't matter. You don't have to mask it because you're going to die cut this image right here. And you're not going to see anything that's, you know, stamped off, you know, onto the side. You're not going to see that. But in this case, because I wanted that wider border, I went ahead and I put my masking tape on here. Okay. And actually, this was really helpful because it masked everything for when I was stamping all of these things in here too. So I kept everything into this square. All right, so the first thing that I did was I stamped the cabin, and obviously I didn't use the whole thing. I only used, you know, just a little over half. So if you took a pencil and you just drew a line right across here, this is about what I used, this far and up. So I took this whole bottom section out, including the tree. So just anywhere in this vicinity and up is what I did. And I used my stamp platform. So I inked this in 2 colors, the blue and the brown, you guys. the two magic colors, 565, 969, inked it in two colors, and then stamped it off. Stamped it off just one time because it's clear, so you don't have to stamp it off twice. So it's clear. If you want to, you know, and this, you know, it's not that big of a deal, but if you want to, you can stamp the cabin, the tree, and the rocks first. Just, or ink them. Ink those first with these two colors. You can ink them first with these two colors, 969, 565, the cabin, the tree, and the stones. Just those three things. You can ink them in these two colors, stamp them off one time, and then stamp it onto your canvas. Okay? Then you can go back once that's done, and you can ink the path and these little lines in the background, and you can ink those with this in 52. And that will give you a lighter area in the background. Now, that's up to you. That's one more step, but you can have that option to do that. If you want a really light background and a really light path, you can do that. So you know, it's either way is going to be just fine. If you ink this whole area, you know, in the two colors, stamp it off once and then stamp it onto your canvas. So once you have that done, and you can see where it is here, you know, where the rocks are, this is that first image right here. This is that first image. Now I can put my little bunny where I want him to be. And I can position him in here, you know, on my stamp platform, close my lid, and then I can ink him. And I inked him in the same two colors, the dark blue and the brown, 565, 969, blue first, then brown. And then stamped him off one time. And you can see how it hangs over the edge. So it cuts off the pot, and it cuts off the bottom of the tree, and he fits just perfect. And you can kind of see, well, he fits right in here, right next to these little stones, and he's just going to be so cute right there. So inked him, stamped him, and there he is. And then I just tuck this little basket in, same thing. Just stamp it off the edge. Okay, just like that. And then I've got all my basic images in here. I've got the little water creek that's coming through here. And it's just, you know, I've got everything kind of all set up the way that I'm going to, paint it. So now what we want to do is we just want to bring this line over, you know, where the creek is. And this doesn't have to be anything, you know, fancy or whatever. You're just going to kind of bring that over. And now you can see where the water comes. And, you know, our foreground also, we're going to just bring the foreground over just like this. Okay? Basically, we're just putting in the water, the little creek of the water, and this little area that's coming forward. So that just really completes everything. Everything else is in here. All of our background is in here. The tree, everything else is in here. And now it's just a matter of step by step, you know, one section at a time, adding our flowers and foliage to it. Okay? Anybody have any questions so far? Stadler. Yes, Leah. Did somebody ask me what pencils? Stadler. I really can't even tell you why I'm so partial to these, but I am. I have them everywhere. I really like this lead, and you can get them on Amazon in a big container, a big giant container, and that's what I do. I just love these pencils. Okay, let me flip through here and see if anybody has any more questions. Okay, looks like you guys are with me. All right. So let's continue on here. We've got this masked off, so we're ready to just get going on this little project. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the color out of the lines, and we're going to do that with our brush. So let me just grab my brush here. Where is it? Here is my brush and my water. Get that brush really wet. And I'm just going to just begin, you know, at the back, and just begin by pulling this color just out of the lines here. It's going to be pretty light because everything in this composition is really light. So we've got all of our bright colors, and that's what we're using. So a little color underneath there, on this little porch, little color on the path. We can pull some of this color down here. And then on our little rocks, you know, we're pulling the color from the bottom always on the rocks. So whenever we're doing rocks, we're never pulling color from the top. That always stays open. And the color is applied and the color is pulled from the bottom. Always. Okay? We always need to see that highlight on the top of the rock. Okay, let's do this little guy. We're just going to pull a little color out of him. He's so cute, sitting on his little stump with his little basket. And you know, this is just the beginning steps. This just kind of helps to get the perspective. Okay, so now let's add some color. Let's start at the top and kind of work our way down. So let's add some color. And on mine, I have picked the brightest green I could find, 173. So we are going to be using this. So this is 173. And then we're going to be using some bright pink, 725. And then some yellow, 993. 993. And then what else? Oh, the bright blue, the 407. I love this color. I've been using a lot, use it a lot for Easter. And I just love it. I love it so much. All right, and a little bit of purple. We're going to use a little bit of purple. This is 636. Let's see, I've got just a little bit of room. 636. All right, so, and I think we need one more color here. Just a little more of that other green. Where is that? You know what? Let's just mix these two colors. Okay. All right. So we're going to start out with the roof, and we're going to put a bright green roof on this little cabin. And we're going to start at the top and just kind of leave a little space, you know, at the top, and just pull this color down. You know, it's going to make the roof look like it's just a little wonky, like the light is kind of catching on that top edge. And then we're just going to brush this in. I mean, why can't the roof be this color? You know, really bright like this. It's just so cute. I love this green. I love it. And every time I use it, I think, how come I don't use this more often? I really should. Because it is just so cute. And notice I did not cross this line here where the roof kind of bends, you know, onto this little porch area. So you want to be sure to leave that. Never cross the lines with your brush. Never, never. And let's just do this little edge here. Tony, love your creativity. Oh, Tony, thank you. That is so kind. I just love this so much. And you know, the fun thing is to just, you know, sometimes I just pull stamps out and I just look at them and think, what could we make with these three things? You know, it's just amazing what comes together. And, you know, it's a good exercise, you know, to kind of stretch yourself a little bit, especially something that you wouldn't think would go together. Surprisingly, it does. It does. Because we're kind of tying it all together with the flowers and the foliage and the grasses. So now I'm using this 407 on the door. And I think I'm just going to put some of this into the background, into the sky while I'm into it. And just kind of brush this in. You know, we've got a border up here, so we want to get some color. I'm going to get some color in here so that we can see where that edge is. So I'm just going to put some of this blue in. Just going to work it in here. And I'm just, you know, I just really never use a brush stroke when I'm putting in the sky. You're just gonna, you know, kind of lay that color down and then just kind of push it around. Okay, like so. Now I'm gonna switch to my little brush, my little one. And I'm going to put the details in the windows. So we're going to use this little brush and put in these little window panes. And just kind of brush them in. This is the fun part, putting all the details in. And we'll do some over here. Put those in, and then this little window up here, maybe we just have two in there. And then I'm going to take some of the dark blue. So this is the 565. See if we got room for this here. 565. Let me move this over so you can see that. And we're going to put a shadow in that door. Just in this doorway right here. We're going to put a shadow right at the top. And then, you know, as that comes down, we'll be able to see the inside of that door. And, you know, we can just add a little bit in this window too, because we'd be seeing the side of it here. And this one is just the opposite. We're going to be seeing it this side. And this one up here. And then we can just put a little shadow under this window. And I'm going to just put that little doorknob in. Okay, so let's add some more color to this. And I'm going to just use I'm just going to keep using my little brush here. And just make a little line across here. And just color in this part. Right around that little window. I'm just going to turn this a little bit so I can get this line straight. There we go. How cute is that? A little pink on that house. And then let's go over to the little chimney. And this is just a series of rocks. And basically what we're doing is we're just going to go underneath them all. Just kind of work your way down. See where the color is underneath the rocks. So just take your brush and just as you're going down, just pull that color from the bottom. Always from the bottom of the rocks. This will just kind of automatically come together. This little chimney. It'll just kind of do its thing. See how cute? That just turned out so cute. Now, we're just going to make a little shadow on the side. Just kind of run this down the side, just like that. And then this underneath here is going to have a shadow. So let's just put that in where this overhang is. All these little things they make such a difference. The tiny little details. And then let's just put a little shadow here on this little porch. And the little steps. And this here underneath these little posts, that's going to be pretty dark because that shadow is coming over the top. Okay, that's it for that little house. That didn't take long at all. So cute. All right, so now let's go into the background here. And we're just going to kind of mix a few little colors. You know, basically we don't want to do all of these the same. We don't do all these colors the same. So we're going to just add, you know, a little bit of green, a little bit of pink. So let's just put a little green in here. Like this, and then let's mix that green with some of this blue. And we'll take this color and we'll just put some of this into the background. Like so. And then let's take some yellow. Okay, and then we're going to add some foliage. We're going to add some pink foliage in the background, 725. This one. And we're just going to ink, you know, a little bit and kind of work our way over. So I'm going to turn this a little bit. And because this is all masked off, although, you know what? I want to be careful about that tree. So let's just put a little piece of Post-it tape right here over the tree so that we don't get this. We don't get that with this pink. That would be pretty hard to get rid of. Okay, so we're just going to add this in here like this. And then I think we can just tap in a tiny little bit in the background back there. And now we can just add some water to it. Got some pink flowers in the background, some pink bushes. Okay, we've got that finished. So let's keep going. All right, so let's add some green now to this little grassy area. So we're going to take some of this. And, you know, it's always better to start out really light. You know, just kind of brush this color in and just make it really light. You can always come back in with more color. Let's add some back in here. We're going to add some bright flowers along the edge here. So I don't want to get the green too far down. I want to kind of leave some white spaces for that. And I'm going to switch to my little brush now. And let's add some more color to these little rocks. So I'm going to take I'm going to take my Twintone. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color in here where these rocks kind of come together. So just like that. And then we'll take some of this blue, just a little bit of this blue, and we'll add some of this to it. Rocks have lots and lots of different colors in them. So you can just kind of, you know, just kind of add color to it. It's always going to look better if it has a mix of color. See, and I can pull some of that brown out of here. Notice the tops of the rocks. You see the tops of the rocks? They're light. They're light. This is where the light is coming down and underneath. And that's what kind of gives them their shape, that they're rounded, is because this under here is much darker. This is much darker where that shadow is cast. So in these little, you know, cracks where these rocks are kind of sitting together. That's where it's the darkest. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's about all we have to do with that. So let's keep going. I'm just going to add a little bit of this blue into the path here. Just a few little lines of blue. And let's see, let's just kind of blend this together. Okay, so now what do we need to do? Let's put the water in. I'm going to switch over to my bigger brush. And we're going to put this bright blue water in. So this number 407, we're just going to kind of brush it in. And just keep it away from the lines, you know, all of your lines. Just kind of keep it away from there. It's going to kind of come around the bend like this. And then, you know, once it's just a little bit dry, you can come back in here. This, you know, water that's kind of in the background, this is going to be just a little bit darker, you know, as it's kind of coming around. Kind of coming around these little rocks. I need to get a little bit in here. Okay, so now let's add some grass, just a few little grassy areas. And we're going to use this bright green. And we're just going to kind of stamp this in here, you know, next to the little cabin. And then let's put some more over here. You know, we're going to get our white paint out, so we got to have some areas to put our little white flowers. It'll be so cute. And then we're going to just make a row kind of along the little creek. Just a little row of grass here. We're going to add some flowers to it. And then add water. Just, you know, brush that up. This is really the only time that you're using a brush stroke, really, is when you're doing the grass. And you're just pulling that grass just up. Just up. And making it look more natural. Get this a little bit darker in here. Back in here. Just something about these little whimsical paintings that, you know, I catch myself and I'm watercoloring and I've got a smile on my face because I just love stuff like this. Okay, so now let's put some green in the foreground here. We're kind of moving to our foreground. And we can put a little bit of it back in here. Just the idea of it, really, you don't have to get every, you know, single little area, but clearly you can see that this is in the foreground. And let's just let all of this dry a little bit, and let's go on to the little eggs. So I'm switching my brush again, and we're gonna get some bright eggs in here. So of course, now we're pink. Let's put another pink one back here, because pink is just the cutest. And then we definitely need a blue egg. Definitely need this blue. And then let's do a bright green. Like so. And then we're going to use a little bit of purple, and we're going to add some color to the basket. So we're applying that color where it's the darkest. Pinch your brush off and then drag it to the center. And then do it again. Do that same thing again. And then just drag it over. And then we're going to just color in the inside, one side of this handle. And when you do that, it turns the handle. Okay, so see what it does here? So this side, this is the outside, and it makes this handle look flat, and now you can see the inside of it. Okay, just by coloring just this one side. So let's put a little detail on here. You know, we got to have a stripe. Okay, and we'll put some detail on those eggs when we get to our white paint. So we'll be adding a little bit more to these eggs. All right, let's go on to the bunny. And I'm going to switch my brush again, back to my number 4. And we want to add some brown. You can leave this bunny white if you want to. That would be really cute, just up to you. This is the 947. It's a really nice, warm, kind of a honey brown, and it's so cute for these little critters. So I'm just going to now just add this color. Just brush it on. Got this little ear over here too. And just, let's just start out light. So much easier to add color later. And then I always just leave their little chest white and their little belly white. It just kind of breaks up the color a little bit too. So his little belly, we could leave that white. And just keep adding this just a little bit at a time. This little paw back here is going to be just a little bit darker than the one in the foreground. Get his little feet. And then we want to get this color into where his cheek is. And his face, but we want to leave the nose, here where the eyes are, we want to leave that really light. Just take your time. Take your time. And if you think that you're getting too much color on, just stop and pinch off your brush. Just stop and pinch your brush off. That will take some of the color off, and then you can easily just start to blend again. Okay, so now we want to add just a little pink cheek to him. Like so. And then let's get the Twintone, and we'll put some of these little details back in. back in here like this. And then, of course, his little eye and his nose. Is he just so cute? Sitting on his little stump. And then I'm just going to take my my tiny brush and add just a little blue shadow, you know, under his tail. Just like that. It's, you know, it's kind of hidden, but, you know, we can still see it back here. Let's just go a little bit darker on this handle. Okay, we are making progress. We are making progress on this little scene. Okay, so now let's get some color into the tree. We don't need a lot because this is our focal point right here. So we don't want to make the tree too dark and bring that forward. You know, we're kind of focused on this area here, and the tree is just kind of a, you know, a little side piece. So we're just going to take a little bit of this color out. We're going to add some leaves to it, but we're going to leave it pretty simple. So I'm going to take my brown, my dark brown. Wow, I guess I'm going to need a new 969. Wow, that's this one has seen better days, but we've still got enough color. So we can take some of this and just put a little of this color on. And it's a little gray, so that also will kind of change the color so that he doesn't, you know, kind of compete with the little bunny. And this is really, you know, I think about all we have to do here with this tree. Now we can add some color to the little stump. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to pull this color down. And then we're going to add just a little bit more color to it. Just kind of in these little crevices here where the bark is kind of rough. Just a little shadow here. There's little feet are. And then I'm going to take my Twintone and I'm just going to darken some of these cracks. Don't have to do too much, really. Again, you know, this isn't the focal point, so we don't want to take too much away from the bunny. If we make these things too dark, he doesn't really stand out. And especially, you know, because he's brown. Now, if we'd have left him white, we could put way more color on the tree. But we could still do, you know, a few little details in here. You can add a few little lines in that tree. Okay, and I think I'm just going to add a little detail in this basket too, where these little eggs are next to each other. Okay, now let's get our florals in. So we're going to add our grasses to the front, and we're going to use our little, you know, our tall grass. We're going to use that same light green and just put in, you know, kind of as much as you want to. Just kind of lean it over. And there's not really a lot of room to do anything over here. I really don't think we need to. We've just got a little bundle of flowers over here, so I think we're good on that. And I think this is also, maybe we can just add, you know, a few little grasses in here, just like that. And then we'll just pull this back. If you see any pencil lines still, you know, when you're finished, you can just erase those. Just take your eraser and just erase them. See this little pencil line here? Because we're using such light colors. You can just erase that off. Put a little darker color in that water. So cute. Okay, so now let's put our flowers in. And I think we're going to be finished with this little. Oh, let's do the leaves on the tree first. And we're going to use the same green. We're just going to use the tip of this little foliage. And I'm going to turn this so that I can kind of get this in here better. And, you know, we just need to have the idea of the leaves on the tree. You know, I'd have to go crazy with this. Add the water to it. And we've got our little tree. Just so cute. So cute. All right, so we're going to add some white blooms to the background, but we're going to put some pink flowers in for sure. So I'm going to use this little one. And I'm going to use my pink. And I really don't need much of a stem. I can just use a little bit of one. Just a little bit of the stem. But mostly I'm going to be using the blooms. In fact, we can just probably put them in there, just on top of the grass. And we can probably do the same over here on these. Just put them right on top of the grasses. And then we're just going to come over with our brush and just brush down on these little areas. So cute. Isn't that just so cute? And if you want to, you could take your bullet tip and you could put a little center in here with your bullet tip. Is that just so cute and so fun? All right, so let's get our white paint out so we can finish up all the little details. And I'm going to add some water to mine. So that I can get this a little more mixed up here. I don't want it too thin, but you still have to be able to, kind of brush it on. You just kind of have to work it a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to switch to my little brush. And paint some color onto my little eggs. Some little stripes on there. And then some on this egg. And then, you know, maybe some, we've got stripes and dots always. Just the easiest thing to do. And then maybe just a little heart on that egg. So cute. And then we're going to add some little white blooms. Just out here in the grass. And you know, you can do as much of this as you want. And maybe we just put some out here too. Kind of mixed in with the little pink flowers. Maybe we just have a few over here. Okay. We could put just a little highlight along the edge of the roof and along the side. And if you want to, you can add just a little highlight to the rocks. And, you know, along the water, where that light just kind of catches the water as it's kind of coming around. You can add some of that on there too. And how fun was this project? This was just so fun. Okay, you guys, I think we are finished. So be sure if you want to win this little painting, be sure to say so in the comments and Leah will put you into the drawing. So let's do the big reveal. Take all of our masking tape off. And we've just got our little painting. Isn't that just so cute? Now, if you want to trim this, don't erase the pencil lines until you trim it to the size that you want. But if you're just going to use your die, you know, cut it out with a die. You can just erase this, but it's so cute after it's erased. It just looks so different. Looks like just a little painting, which is what we want. And we can take out this pencil line here that we don't want, and any other pencil line that we may have drawn in, you know, like this one, we could just take that out. How cute, you guys. Let me just hold it up so that you can just see it in all its glory. All the pinks and the bright greens that I just think are so cute. I did put a detail on the house, which you can do with your pink, your bullet tip. So you can make just these little, make some cute little lines like that. How cute. You guys, we are finished. I'm going to sign it. And I will switch my camera back around so I can say bye to all of you. Okay. I am back. Okay, you guys. Be sure, yes, I see that you guys are putting that on there, that you want to win the original. So I have two. I have two of these, so we'll be giving both of them away. So be sure to put that into the comments. And don't forget, throwback, last day tomorrow at midnight. Limited quantities on this one. It is set number 5876. This is the set. Check out the tutorial. This little guy, I did this yesterday. And then your free gift, your little chick is your free gift. this little guy right here, the Easter chick, and the little promo stamp, the OFRAP coffee cup. You guys check that out on the website. You have till tomorrow at midnight. So thank you guys all for watching. I just, as always, love being with you. I love having new things to teach you, and I appreciate you spending your time with me. So all of you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again next week.